Well, hello again. To hear my squeaky chair. Uh, I guess it's time for an update because it's been almost a week. No, wait, it's been more than a. Well, no, the first one I did on the second, so it's been about a week. Um, 1 day less. So basically, this has been a pain in the ass. Um, so there's been a lot of things that you have to do in order to make Minecraft mods work, and the things that I complained about the other day about not really getting how things are supposed to be put together doesn't really get any better. Um, there's a lot of things that have to happen and things that need to work with each other, or else your mod doesn't work right. Um, and the documentation is really sparse, and even more so, it's really hard to find. There's lots of tutorials again, but very few things that just say, okay, this is the concept behind, say, packets or GUIs or whatever. Um, so I'm thinking there may be a possibility that I'll do a series, a separate mod and a separate series on a very simple mod that will go over a lot of this stuff because it's very obtuse, and a lot of the stuff that I see is like just people coding and showing you and talking about how, oh, you need to put this here and you need to put this there. Why? What does it do? Um, all right. Anyway, let's talk about the what we've got right now. Let's go ahead and run the game so you can actually see some Minecraft, and I have something to put in the thumbnail, I guess. Um, Going to my creative world. This is my whistle right now. I changed some of the graphics. So just like before, we can go here. Oh wait, let me just get a whole bunch of them. There we go. If you can see here, the slime core looks much nicer. The whistle still looks derpy. Um, and I changed the recipe for the whistle simply because I felt like the one I had would probably be too be used, and I don't really know how to fix that kind of thing. I guess I can put a configuration option. I haven't done any configuration, but all right. So let's make a slime core first of all. Bam, 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 bam. Slime core. You can tell it's got like a diamond embedded in it. And then let's make a whistle, which is now 2 iron and a slime ball. And at some point I will change it so that, first of all, it'll look a little less phallic. But second of all, when you don't have a slime core installed in the whistle, it'll be empty, and then when you put it in, it'll be there. Oh, and let's make a pen, a slime pen, which is again slime balls. Oh wait, I got like 64 slime balls. It was obsidian, a bunch of obsidian. You know what? Bam, bam. Thank you. And glass, and some slime. All right, so there we go. So got some slime, and some glass. Then we have some obsidian, and we get a slime pen. And I'm gonna make a model. I think that's gonna be my take a break from doing the crap stuff next to make a nice model for the slime pen, and also make the whistle look like crappy. And then I can start digging into the meat of trying to build a custom entity around the slime. Um, but on the plus side, building a custom entity around the slime is not so hard because at least I have working entities to look at. I can see what they do. Alright, so anyway. So this is the slime pen GUI. Your slime core goes up here. Down here, this is the appearance slot. So if I put this in here, you can see that I got a slime core here. And then you can put things in, and there will be progress bars or things that will show up there. And you can only put one of each kind of item in each of the slots. And you can only put a slime core up there. Alright, so now those items are within that. Right? See? So they're now stored on that slime core. And we can do whatever we need to do. We can actually I started doing the groundwork for setting up the way that behaviors work. My goal by the end of the month is basically to have the framework done and maybe some of the behaviors, not to have everything done. There's just no way. All right, so here's the whistle. Now if you shift right click, it brings up another GUI, which lets you install Slime Core, right? So if you ever want to change it out, you can do that. Right clicking will on your slime, that will be the next thing I'm going to do, right? Well, I'm probably going to learn how to do custom tile model rendering to do that, because I'd like to know how to do that. And then, yeah, once I have the slime, the basics of it are not going to be terribly hard, because I think I've got a handle on things. I know how to make GUIs now, although I don't think I need to make any more for this. I know how to do packets and things. So let's step out here. Let's go out of it. Okay. So let's talk about how we had to do all this crap. So this is why I don't much like working with Java, right? I mean, if you looked at my the source code for my monsters game, I have like a dozen files or something like that. Not that many. Maybe a couple thousand lines of code. Not that many. And yet I'm already like way past that, and I'm not doing anything, right? So let's talk first about how to do GUIs in Minecraft. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure you have a packet handler. So let's go to Squishy Friends here, and I'm not really used to Eclipse either, so what you need to do is you need to make a packet handler which will handle stuff that has to do with your mod. If you don't have this, it won't work, and I don't really get why, but whatever. And then you make a GUI handler here that implements iGUI handler, and I think you have to register that. Where do you register that? Was that back here? There you go. So we register a GUI handler, and my case I just called the GUI handler. That sends things to the server and to the client when there's a GUI event. And this is going to trip me up because they're different, because this sends a GUI version and this sends a container. Even though these are essentially, these are very similar. Okay, so then you go to the things you want. So this is a slime pen block. So when the block is activated, it will check to see that you're not sneaking. So I guess, I don't know why I did that. Whatever. I guess it's so you could stick other things onto it. That's fine. Yeah, you can put like levers and stuff on it. If you want to open the GUI, then you call player.openGUI. So the player entity has an open GUI function, and then we pass it the instance of the mod, which will then send it the GUI handler, and then you put the GUI ID here. This is going to be just a thing, and I could make it an enum, but I don't know that I will, because I only have two things. You have to pass it the world instance, and then you also pass it the coordinates. All right, and the same, by the way, goes for the whistle. So on the whistle item, we check to see if the player is sneaking. And since there's really no way for the player to be null in this case, because how? I should probably check it just in case we don't crash the server. That's the one thing about Java in particular, is that you really have to check everything, because it doesn't really, it's not as lenient about things as, say, ActionScript, which is like JavaScript. So we're going to do the same thing, but I'm just passing zeros here because I'm just using this. Alright, so then we have to go to our GUI handler, and it's going to open up a new container or a GUI, depending on what you're doing. Alright, so the GUI here, fair enough, it draws the GUI. So here's the whistle one, and here's the slime pen one. In fact, I can probably get rid of all this, because I don't know why. I don't need to actually implement iCrafting, which is what this is. This is if you want to send like the forge or the enchantment progress updates. Um, but I don't want to do that, so I'm probably going to get rid of these and refactor it, just to compact things and not. I don't want to implement more things than I need to, because then I can end up with weird stuff happening because it doesn't happen the way I expect it to. So all we're doing basically is we're drawing the whistle, or the thing that's just the GUI picture frame. All right, but what we need to do is we need to make a container. So right here we make a container. So we need to make a container item. It's just over here, container. So here's a slime pen container. I guess that's why, because it doesn't matter. I can do when content's changed. And basically this does two things. We're going to have to add the slot to the container. Now I have the slime core slot, which is its own class. And then the training item slot, which is again its own class. And then the generic slot here, which are the that's the appearance item. I'm probably going to make a slot appearance items. Actually, maybe I won't. I don't know. I might let you put anything onto it, but it just won't do anything unless you need to. All right, so here we go. And then we wrote this, and I had to basically copy and paste this because, come on. Simply put, we add all of the player's inventory slots to it so we can drag things back and forth. Otherwise, we couldn't do that. Now, the slightly confusing thing is, for instance, these slots here happen on both the client and the server side, and that's why you're passing in the location of this. So like the container is kind of this intermediary between inventories, which are the game's representation of an inventory, which could be a chest or whatever. And you'll notice here that because on the slime pen container, the inventory that we're passing it is the tile entity, which is this. It's like if you have a chest or a sign or any of that kind of stuff, it has additional information that's stored within in the game world. However, the whistle does not have an inventory. We can store items on it, but it doesn't have its own inventory. So we're making our own kind of dummy inventory by using this, making a new inventory whistle. And we'll go check that one out really quickly. Oops, that's the item. And the inventory whistle is basically just a dummy one-slot inventory that I had more stuff. It had it doing more stuff before, but I actually don't think I need to do anything with it anymore. Oh yeah, no, I do. Because when the inventory is changed, this calls a special thing up on the container, which passes the thing. I don't think I necessarily need to have this like this. I can actually probably just have it on something else. But I was finding weirdness. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't really care right now because it works. So next, we call on a container item that we change the core. And then we check to see if we're on the client side. And if we're on the client side, then we're basically going to send the item that we wanted to send up to the server. And I should probably do this on the server side. Why am I not doing it like that? I don't know why. There's a reason why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, I guess. Because I tried just checking if we're on this. Oh, because things didn't get synced up. Okay, so yeah. We're saying I want to send this item to the server. And you know what? Who cares? Nobody's going to cheat by like... Nobody's going to cheat by... I guess they could. I don't really care if they do, I guess. I mean, there's going to be validation on the slime data, so it's not like you can cheat, like make yourself an Uber slime like this. Who cares? Okay, so this is the confusing thing. I was basically saying when the crafting matrix changed or when the slot changed or whatever, I was writing the core to the whistle, but it wasn't working because it was. I don't really know why exactly it wasn't working, but my guess was it was going out of sync. That both the client and the server were trying to set their items as being this thing, when really I need to make sure it's just one or the other, and then sync them back up together. So what this does here is I check to see if we're on the client side, and if we are, then we're going to send a message to the server saying, "Hey, I want to put this core into the whistle." Um, so it has to create an output stream, and again, the obnoxious thing is when I read the tutorials, they're like, well, you can do all kinds of stuff with output streams, but it's really confusing, so I'm just going to give you a trivial example. What? That doesn't help at all. I don't want to send just a couple integers. I want to send items. But I found that when you make a packet, a custom payload packet, you can write items to it, right? So you go packet, write item stack. Does what it says on the tin. But I didn't know that because I didn't know that was on the packet and not say whatever. And that I actually, okay, here's the confusing thing, right? You see, it writes the items, ID, then size, then damage. It actually writes the NBT tag as well. I was confused because I'm like, okay, so this basically lets me recreate a stack minus the metadata that I'm adding to it, the NBT data. But no, it actually sends the NBT, so it's okay. Or maybe it sends the item's ID and you can recreate it using that. I don't really care. It does one way or the other. It works fine with items with NBT is the point. All right. So we're doing two things here. First, we're getting the slot that the player, the whistle that the player is using, and you'll see why in a minute. And then we're checking to see if the core is null. If the core is null, we're going to send a false, and if it is, we're going to send a true. This is so that we can remove the core when it's in place. And you know, this one here, otherwise it would crash as soon as we try to remove the core. And then we turn that into a byte array and we send it to the server. Pretty simple. We're just sending it three things. We're sending it, or two things. We're sending the three things. We're sending the slot that the whistle is in. We're saying, is there a core? And if there is, we're sending the data for the core. All right, so now we've got to go to our server packet handler. And it listens for this particular channel. And I probably will do a hash map because I'm going to expect to be sending a lot of information between the client and the server to synchronize a lot of stuff. And it pulls all that information out and it goes, okay, well, we're now going to read it and we're going to set on the whistle a tag. And you can write NBT tags. But you can turn items into NBT tags, which then you can store on another item. Or a tile, or whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. So that's all there is to it, right? You have to turn it, and then here's the tricky thing: the whistle we're getting directly by grabbing it from the player's inventory, and I think this is what's making it so that I can sync the client and the server, because I'm telling the server, hey, grab that item from the player, and then the client eventually will sync up. And it doesn't matter that I'm not telling it because there's no visual indicator or anything telling me that I changed the item. The item is going into and out of the slot just fine. It's just that the whistle itself is being changed to store or remove the core that's being on it. Okay, so yeah, next thing is going to be adding another thing here and basically saying, hey, we're going to be creating our, we're going to be summoning our slime. And from what I'm seeing, it's not too bad. I don't know if we can directly entity living. No, where is it? Entity monster. There we go. So this is the slime source code from decompiled Minecraft. Pretty simple from what I'm reading here. It doesn't look very difficult. So yeah, I mean, honestly, Honestly, when I'm looking at this, it doesn't really look like all this is all that difficult, right? Is it even using a lot of private stuff? No, almost everything's protected, not private, meaning that I can probably just subclass slime and then make uh, my own pet slime class that will be using the stuff from it as I need to, um, but with custom stuff. So when I do on update, it'll then dig into my behaviors and blah blah. And I expect some of it to be fairly simple and others to be really really complex. Um, but I hope that the basics of it will at least be possible by the end of the month. All right, so there we go. That's the update. Uh, Up until a couple hours ago when I figured out the packet thing, I was feeling kind of frustrated. I spent the last couple of days trying to get these stupid whistles to store things. Um, I feel a lot better now that I figured out NBT tags and packets. I just wish it wasn't so much just banging my head against the wall. I wish there was a much simpler, in-depth explanation. So I'm probably going to do a tutorial series on it. Why not? Um, Definitely once I understand the whole system better, though. I'm not going to do it right this minute. So there we go, and I'll see you guys next time.